Good morning everyone and happy 4th of July. I'm sorry I'm talking kind of quiet. It's about 7:30 in the morning and Robert and I have off today, so normally I'd be asleep. But I wanted to bring you all a tutorial on a meal prep recipe that I love to make. It's super easy, cooks in the crock pot all day, and it'll feed me for a week. The recipe that I'm bringing you today is called chicken crock pot burrito bowls. Now normally I do chicken, but today I was feeling a little more beefy, so I decided to do flank steak. It's cooked almost exactly the same way. You just have to eye it a little bit more during the day to make sure you're not overcooking it because you don't want it to be really chewy. Okay, so for this recipe I will be using 1 pound of flank steak. If you're doing chicken, you're just going to do 1 pound of skinless, boneless chicken breast. 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 3 teaspoons of onion powder, 3 teaspoons of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of chili powder, 2 teaspoons of cumin, or if you're Robert, you say cumin, 1 teaspoon of salt and pepper to taste, 3 cups of beef broth. If you're doing chicken, you'll of course use chicken broth, 2 packages of Uncle Ben's Ready Rice, 1 15-ounce can of diced tomatoes, 1 to 2 15-ounce cans of black beans depending on yours or your family's preference, and 1 to 2 15-ounce cans of whole kernel corn depending on your family's preference. This was not originally in the recipe, but I love corn, so I always add it. And Colby and Monterey Jack cheese. This is optional if you don't like cheese, although I don't know how you could not like cheese. After I finish making the recipe, I always garnish the top of it with some plain Greek yogurt. It works as a sour cream. I know it sounds disgusting. I really don't like plain Greek yogurt, but it really works in this recipe. And lastly, I always add a couple slices of avocado on top just to garnish. Okay, so I've already washed my hands and now I'm going to first place the flank steak in the bottom of the crock pot. If your crock pot is not big enough, feel free to cut it in half and kind of stack and overlap them. Next, I'm gonna add 3 cups of the beef broth. When I do this, I'm gonna make sure that I pour it all over the flank steak as well as around it, because most of the time it's gonna try and bunch up in one spot. Next, I'm gonna add the 15-ounce can of tomatoes. I love that this is in the recipe. It really helps to keep the chicken or flank steak really juicy and also give it that really nice flavor. You will need to drain this first. I'm gonna add in the olive oil now and all of the spices. So again, that was 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And again, kind of pour it all the way around, not just in one spot. 2. 3 teaspoons of onion powder. 3 teaspoons of the garlic powder. 2 teaspoons of chili powder. If you like things to be a little more on the spicy side, go ahead and add 3 teaspoons. 1 teaspoon of cumin. And 1 teaspoon of salt and pepper to taste. Next, you're going to plug in the crock pot and leave it on low for about 4 hours, but not until you've given it a stir. So it's been roughly about 4 hours and it's time to now take out the flank steak or chicken breast if you're doing chicken breast. I'm gonna put it on a plate next to me and cover it in foil. It will get added back in later. I wish that you could smell it. It smells amazing in this house. Like I expected, the flank steak did shrink a little bit. So at first it was kind of coming out the edges, but I didn't really cut it in half because I figured that it would probably shrink down. And it did, and it looks, smells, and is perfect. Like I said, set this aside because you will use it later. Obviously. Now that I've removed the flank steak, I'm going to turn the slow cooker on high and add in the 2 bags of instant rice and 2 cans of black beans. Now that I've added the black beans and rice, I'm gonna give it a little bit of a stir and then put the lid back on. This has to cook for another 30 to 45 minutes. Okay, so it's been about 45 minutes since I put in the rice and beans. And during that time, my lovely roommate Robert cut up the meat for me in bite-sized pieces so that it'll be better when I'm going through. Obviously, I'm not gonna eat a whole hunk of meat. So now that that's done, I've drained the corn, which you're gonna wanna do because it's already a little bit watery, and I don't like mine to be too watery. If you do, go ahead and add the undrained corn. So I'm gonna add the 2 cans. And then also add the meat as well and give it a stir. You want to make sure you get everything from the bottom up to the top. That way everything has an equal chance of warming. For the last time, I'm gonna cover it and let it warm up for about 20 minutes, still on high, and then it's ready to serve. Okay, so I let it sit and simmer for about 20 minutes, and the corn really added its flavor to the rest of the recipe. Unfortunately, I won't be eating this right now. I do have other plans for tonight's dinner, but this is gonna be so good for this week's lunches and dinners. I cannot wait. Normally at this time I would take out a big helping of it, a little more than I probably should, and put a couple slices of avocado, some plain Greek yogurt to act as a sour cream, and some cheese. Mix it all together and it's heaven. As you can see, it's a pretty big pot, so it'll feed me for a while. If you're a college student, it'll feed you for a while. And if you are feeding a family, this should be a wonderful meal, especially in the winter time. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching my videos. I've had such a blast and can't wait to keep going. Remember, I put out videos every Monday and Thursday. We'll see you next time.